Austin Price from Volquest.com. He joins us each week thanks to Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. Austin, thank you for the time as always. This past weekend, Tennessee added another commitment to the 24 class. Want to get to more recruiting overall, but update us on the newest commitment for Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee continues to do a really good job. Working recruiting. I mean, they continue to get a lot of momentum, Josh, and they've just done a nice job of just kind of building on that, right? It's not been like 4 or 5 different players committing at one time. It's been kind of a steady, slow addition to the class, and Tennessee has done a good job with Edrees Farooq for a while. He's been down to Tennessee a couple of times. In fact, I think it's 3: January, early March, and then again for the spring game this past weekend, committing on Sunday. And credit, Tim Banks and Willie Martinez. They continue to work that Baltimore area very hard, and they'll see if they can land his teammate Iffy. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce the last name. There's a few of those in this class that I've not yet mastered, and it's just easier to say the one name. Probably later this summer. That's kind of a Tennessee-Oregon battle right now for Iffy. But Edrees is a guy that's athletic and compact and, I think very, very explosive for a guy his size.
If you can master how to say Nico's last name, I think you can say anybody's last name, AP. I got confidence in you.
Well, you're right. It's just about repetition and again, I would rather just say the kid's first name and then figure it out than just any time that I've ever butchered it, it's like Henry. I butchered his so much for so long. By the time I actually learned how to say it, old habits died hard with that one. So I'm trying not to create bad habits with kids that I don't know exactly how to pronounce it.
Totally get it, man. Yeah. Totally get it.
He's iffy on his last name right now.
Oh, I see what you did there, Josh. AustinPriceVolquest.com. AP, who are some guys that Tennessee is in a really good position for that, maybe making a decision to commit here in the next 30 to 60 days?
Yeah, I mean, like right now, Tennessee's in a great spot for Jeremiah Hurd, big lineman. That's the best way to put it. Probably projects better as an offensive lineman at the next level. I mean, he's about 6'7.5", and that's a legit size. And that's not like they say 6'7", but he's really 6'5". Like he measured in at 6'7.5". 36-inch arms, right there. Couple of donuts shy of 300 pounds. And he's from North Georgia. Tennessee's been on him for a while. He grew up predominantly thinking he was going to be, the next Charles Oakley. And instead, I think he might be the next Orlando Pace or Michael Munoz, something like that, if he can realize his potential, because he's got a lot of potential. Tennessee's in a good spot with Peyton Lewis, running back from Salem, Virginia. He's been down here a few times. Supposed to take an official to South Carolina in early June, official to Tennessee in late June. We'll see if it even gets to that point, right? I mean, I think Tennessee's got some momentum there. I think they've got momentum, continued momentum with, Williams, Nawarani, the defensive lineman out of Kansas City. That's Oklahoma and Tennessee. Tennessee's got more momentum there than people realize. Believe Tennessee continues to have momentum with Ryan Wingo, even with the latest, kind of crystal balls and projections to Georgia. I still think Tennessee's got momentum there. Tennessee has momentum with Jaden Riddell, tight end out of Kansas City as well. It's a Tennessee-Georgia battle. Either way, you're talking about big-time players. Mike Matthews, Clemson, Tennessee, Georgia. Those are the top 3 for Mike Matthews. USC also playing around there. When you're going against Georgia for a bunch of those guys, Oklahoma, Southern Cal, Alabama, you're competing for big top-end guys. You're not going to get them all. You've got to win your fair share, though, and I think that's the biggest challenge for this staff for the next few months is in those big ones, win your share. You don't have to win them all. Win your share, and then continue to do well with guys like Peyton Lewis, Jeremiah Hurd, continue to recruit, the state well, get Edwin Spillman in the boat by the time the calendar turns to 4th of July, get Boo Carter, see where you're at with Amari Jefferson, get Ronan O'Connell out of Page High School out over in the mid-state. So you got to win those and then win your fair share of the big ones.
Austin Price with us from Volquest, thanks to Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. Yeah, when you talk about like a receiver, Mike Matthews, Ryan Wingo, those are two of the top 25 players overall in the country. Have you seen the amount of players at that level in terms of rankings or how they're viewed? Have you seen the amount of battles that Tennessee is legitimately in for those type players change in the last 2 years?
No, it's not even close. I mean, it's kind of like last week. Everybody's like, man, can you believe they had 60,000 people at the spring game? And I'm like, 11-2, 75 degrees. When you have both, you have a real recipe for a lot of people at your spring game. When it comes to recruiting, success, and an exciting brand of football, whether it be an offense that attacks or a defense that attacks, and again, genuine people in the program. It doesn't matter if I'm talking to a 5-star, a 3-star, whatever. The common theme when they talk about Josh Heupel is genuine. The parents say that word. The players say that word. They're not coached to say that word. That's just how it comes across. And so, you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Some people only want to go to a place that they know is going to be a factory for the NFL. If you're in that case, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, that is going to be right up your alley. That's not to say that other programs like Tennessee or whoever can't get you there, because they sure can, but it's just a different mindset at those schools. Like, I think, like when one or two players that I've talked to here lately that, is down to like the Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia in that mix, they have talked about with me, Georgia and Alabama have just more of a business feel to it. And that suits some players. But for a bunch of these kids, and especially for the moms and dads, a genuine person like Coach Heupel, where it just kind of feels real, family, fun, that also suits people. So, again, it's all in what you're looking for. And, again, it's all about Tennessee winning their fair share of battles for those Mike Matthews and Ryan Wingos, Jaden Riddell, Williams, all those different kind of guys. If you can win your fair share of those, then your class is going to be one of the top classes in the country.
You mentioned 11-2 spring game numbers. I think we can get to 100,000 people at the spring game, AP, if you're up for it. How about next year we do a dunk tank and we have you in the dunk tank? I think people show out to be able to get you in that water. Are you up for it?
Well, it depends. Are we going to have another 75-degree day, or is it that spring day that's like 43? Like, you know what I mean? I mean, like
80
75,
degrees.
Sure, if it takes, we can get me in the duck tank for 80 degrees. If it's 43, man, I think we're going to have to get a little NIL money if I'm honest.
Hey, let me ask you this on a serious note. I mean, you were in Nashville, the Big Orange Caravan, and Heupel spoke, and we played his audio of him talking about expectations and embracing it. I know the fans definitely love that, to hear that, hey, we try to win every game, and we're not shying away from that. What stood out to you from what Josh Heupel said to the media?
Well, I think the biggest thing is I asked him, the last question I asked him was, you head into the kind of a spring window here. Is there any areas of your football team where you feel like you've got to attack? And he wanted to be vague. He didn't want to say, we definitely want this position, but he did admit, offensive line. And I think that's a big, to me, that's a big note, because I think that tells you Coach Heupel is okay with where they're at, but if they can get better on the O-line, he'd like to get better, get another quality body, whether that's a tackle, whether that's a guard to kind of help shore up that left guard spot. I think there's some holes there, and I think that Tennessee's success this fall will be dictated by the O-line and by how Joe plays at quarterback. And so, I think if you can, if you take anything away, I think it's that. A lot of praise for Kurt Schmidt, strength coach, and how he's transformed bodies. And, this team looks different. Jason, you were out there at spring some. I mean, they have a better quality of player right now than they've had in a while. And I think that, that speaks to the recruiting. I think it speaks to the, winter conditioning. And, outside of that, I mean, the Big Orange Caravan is, more meant for each stop. The national media kind of gets to talk to Coach Heupel. Tennessee will start their season over there with Virginia coming up to week 1, and then Memphis was before that tonight in Knoxville, and then of course the Tri-Season Chattanooga. But I think the biggest thing I took away was that Coach Heupel admitted they probably would look to offensive line if they can find the right guy in the portal.
Thought that was interesting as well. You can keep up with what's happening with Tennessee football, recruiting, basketball transfer portal news, baseball this weekend at Volquest.com. Austin Price, a part of the team. Start loosening up your arms out there, because in a little less than 12 months you can try to sink Austin Price in the dunk tank at Neyland Stadium. Swain, one more.
Anything from Cincinnati with the NCAA hearings? I know that your colleague there, Brent Hubbs, is up there reporting.
Yeah, Brent's up there sitting in the lobby watching everybody walk out and take breaks and all that. I think the biggest thing is that, like, everybody I continue to talk to feels like, Tennessee will end up, probably having to give a few more scholarships, probably having to pay a fine. But at this point, I've not talked to anybody that feels like any kind of postseason ban is doable. And I think, having the commissioner up there flanking Tennessee, I think Greg Sankey carries such a big shadow. And, he's kind of Tennessee's heavy these 3 days. He's an intimidating president for the committee to be looking at. And after all, he was, kind of the chairman of the transformation committee that kind of, pushed over the last year the agenda that, there was not going to be any more postseason bans, and there was not going to be any more penalizing a group of kids like Oklahoma State was penalized a few years ago for something a previous coaching staff did when those group of kids were on another campus or in high school.
So it's safe to say that when Danny White asked Sankey, "You got my back," Sankey said, "Yeah." Safe to
That's
say.
right. Well, Sankey, I know Tennessee fans love to say, Greg Sankey is partial to this school or that school, just like those same schools that, Tennessee fans say he's partial to say that, Greg Sankey hates them. Like, every school thinks Greg Sankey is against them. But in reality, he's got the entire conference's back because it behooves him to. I mean, the team that just won the Orange Bowl, he does not want them falling off when they have risen. Like, it behooves him to have a deep league, especially when you're getting ready to go to a 12-team playoff. Greg Sankey wants as many teams as he can get in that 12-team playoff, because I think in his mind a perfect world is 2 semifinals of 4 SEC teams playing each other. I think that's what he wants. So he's going to be protective of the league schools, and I think that's why he's up there in Cincinnati. Again, playing the role of enforcer, so to speak, for Tennessee, and Tennessee and really, Jeremy Pruitt, Derek Ansley, everybody is trying to get this behind them. That way they can move forward with what they have going on.
Austin Price, Volquest.com, every week here on Josh and Swain, thanks to Rick Terry Jewelry Designs, making it unique, making it special, making it just for you. They want to be your jeweler there at Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. Austin, thank you for the time as always. We'll talk to you again soon.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.